A little over a year ago, I did a video about how I thought the MP7 was one of the best budget guns in Escape from Tarkov for the mid to late wipe. And after a year of changes to the game, changes to the economy, and new guns being added, I wanted to revisit the MP7 and see if it still holds up. And the TLDR is, in my opinion, it absolutely does. I'm Jessekazam. Welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. Before we dive in, I'd love to thank the sponsor for this video, Juju. Juju is an energy supplement designed specifically for gamers to help with reaction time, increase focus and energy, and doing all that without providing any sort of hard crashes at the end. And what they're doing right now, Monday and Tuesday, November 22nd and 23rd, ahead of Black Friday and Cyber Monday, they are increasing the discount you get when using code Kazam at checkout from 10 to 20%. So for these 2 days, you can get 20% off your order using code Kazam at checkout. And this is because they got 2 new flavors that just came in: pumpkin spice and sour gummy worm. Obviously, if you see this video after these days, you can still use code Kazam at checkout for 10% off your order. If you want more information or if you want to pick up some Juju, you can use the link below. And once again, use code Kazam at checkout over the next few days for 20% off your order. With all that stuff out of the way though, let's go ahead and dive into the video. So obviously we're talking about the MP7, and like I said in the intro, we're kind of talking about it specifically as a good mid to late wipe budget gun. And the reason for that kind of distinction is because obviously early in a wipe, you're just kind of prioritizing what you can get really early on, and there are less geared enemies. So getting an ammo with 20 or 30 pen really cheaply is probably going to be really, really good, and you shouldn't spend your money on more than that too often. But mid to late wipe, as your enemies are more and more geared up, and as you probably have access to a little bit higher level traders just from playing the game over the past few months, it opens up a lot new stuff for us. And now you can kind of find that perfect balance of something that's affordable but can reach up into that 35, 40, 42 pen range. And that's kind of where I think the MP7 sits. So if you're brand new to the game, this might not be the best budget weapon for you, but since we're a few months into the wipe, I wanted to revisit this gun. And what I'm really talking about here is this exact build: an MP7 with a 30 round mag and the whatever flavor of optic that you like. And this is it. Most of the best budget weapons, at least the ones I like to use, are the ones that don't require a whole lot of mods, because that can cost a ton of money. That's more things to be aware of, what trader you unlock them and all sorts of stuff like that. But a super simple weapon you can just pick up, slap a magazine and an optic on, and then you're good to go. Those are normally some of the best in class budget weapons. So I know traditionally the MP7 is run with a suppressor, and most of the time the A2 variant is run so you can put a foregrip on it and get a little bit extra ergo or something like that. But I think for the money, if we're talking budget here, the A2 super simple is absolutely the way to go. So let's kind of break these down. So obviously there's 2 different variants of the MP7, the A1 and the A2. And the A1 is a little bit cheaper. If we look on the flea market, which is probably the best place to buy these because they're much more expensive from the trader, an MP7 A1, the black one, is about 40,000 rubles. These range between 38 and 43,000 rubles. Like when I was prepping for this video, the one that I bought that I have in my stash, I bought for 41. And the A2 is a little bit more expensive, hovering around the kind of like 50 to 60. It ranges a little bit more depending on how many people are running MP7s, because they normally go for this one. So this one has a little bit more of a price fluctuation, but not too bad either way. Now, when we look at the stats of the weapon, they are absolutely identical, except for the fact that the A2, you can put a foregrip on. So they both have 67 ergo, they both have 51 vertical recoil, they both have 172 horizontal, and they both shoot at the same fire rate, which is 950, which is incredibly high, which is where a lot of the DPS comes from, because they just shoot really fast. So they are pretty much identical when it comes to stats. The only thing is, like we said, you can put a foregrip on the MP7A2. The thing is, though, is you're not really putting these on so much for vertical recoil reduction. Like the RK2 is the best in slot vertical recoil reducer of an attachment, and we go from 51 down to 48. So the best in slot gives us 3 vertical recoil reduction, which means if you're going for recoil, you should go for a cheaper one, because some of these other ones are going to get you like 2, going to get you from 51 to 49, and are going to be much, much cheaper. But most of the time, what people do is throw something on for additional ergo, which kind of makes sense. You can also go for cheaper ones. You don't have to go for the Fortis Ship. You can go for the Stark SE. But even still, once again, what we're talking about here is starting from a place that already has 67 ergo. Like MP7s are already really snappy. So if you've got a bunch of money, spending the additional kind of rubles on this might be worth it, but it's not necessary. And then same for the suppressor here. If we look at the suppressor, it does do a lot for us. It does take our ergo down, but it brings 6 vertical recoil down. So you can see why stacking that and stacking the foregrip on the A2 is what a lot of people use. But a lot of times the suppressor is actually more expensive than the gun itself. Sells for mechanic. We can see if it's a little bit cheaper on the flea market. No, it's not. So 59,000 rubles. It's nice. We get some recoil reduction, but we also get an ergo reduction. And I don't think it's necessary because once again, 51 vertical recoil really isn't that bad. It's very manageable. You are going to have to be aware of the medium range targets. Like an MP7 is normally good. If you use the gun a lot, you can use it from close to kind of mid range. Without the suppressor, without the foregrip or anything, you're going to want to keep this to close range fights. And so just to kind of show and take a look, we can just throw an EOTech on here and kind of take this into the hideout and kind of see what this recoil is like. Once again, you're going to want to use this close to mid range, but I will not compensate with my mouse at all. We'll go right here. We'll kind of start center of mass and see where she goes. So it first shot right here and center mass, and then we're up right at the shoulder and head height. And if I wanted to try and control that even just a little bit, you can see that it's very easy to control and very usable at this range. So MP7 A1 is the way to go. The A2 is a little bit better, but in my opinion for budget, not worth spending any additional money on. So the A1, and in my opinion, if we're going budget here, go with the 30 round mags. So the mags can be a little expensive and you can get them from mechanics. So at level 3, you get access to the 30 round mags. Once again, we're mid to late wipe. So I think anything can get up to like level 3 traders is pretty accessible for most people. But level 4 might still be a struggle for some. So at level 3, you can, for 6,000 rubles, you can get 7 of these 30 round mags. A lot of people say, well, that's such a small mag capacity. Why don't you use the 40s? The 40s are really expensive, and 30 rounds is a standard mag capacity. 30 rounds standard for M4 mags, for AK mags, for most other mags in the game. So 30 feels low when you've got 40 rounders available, but 30 really isn't that bad. And the 40 rounders are much more expensive. They're over double the price. You have to be mechanic level 4. And if you can't buy them from mechanic level 4, then they are very, very expensive on the flea market. A lot of times up to like 60,000 rubles, once again, more than the gun itself. If you run out, even these are going to be a little bit more expensive, 20,000 rubles, but just kind of try and stock up on the magazines when you can. That's always what I do. Just because I think something is a good budget gun doesn't mean it's always budget to just run over and over and over again when you die. If you buy those 7 magazines and you take out all of them and you die, you shouldn't be spending 20,000 rubles on more magazines. Just wait until the trader resets. So obviously the next thing we have to do is talk about ammo, and the ammo that is going to be, it's almost like meta this wipe, is the FMJ round. The APSX was removed from the traders, so even though that is the best round for the MP7, it is so expensive. The only way you can buy it is from the flea market. It is 2,000 to 2,200 rubles a round. And in my opinion, the performance that this gives is not worth it. I don't run APSX with 65 million rubles. It just, I don't think it's worth it. It just doesn't give that much better performance for that price increase. I always run FMJ. FMJ is purchasable from Peacekeeper level 3 for 3 USD a round. And actually a better way to kind of see how much it is if we buy 100 of these rounds, it's 223 US dollars for 100. So it's really $2.23 effectively per round for SMJ, which comes out to like 250 to 300 rubles. I mean, even if it was truly $3 a round, that's only 372 rubles. Now, I know a lot of people don't always have a huge stock of USD lying around, but 300 rubles compared to some of the ammos that you're getting that are provide this level of performance, like FMJ on the flea market is like 1,500 rubles a round. This round has 40 pen and 43 damage, and the ability to get it for effectively 300 rubles. You can buy 250 per reset if you've got level 3 Peacekeeper. And what I would suggest is, once again, same with the magazines. If you want to use this, just stack it up. Just come in here and buy it. Every time I hop on, I just come in and I buy as much of the ammo as I can. And eventually when I get around to wanting to run some MP7s, I've got a ton of ammo and I can die or just use a bunch of ammo in raids and not worry about it too much. It's a really, really good round. 40 pen means you're penning through any helmet, any face shield, except for, of course, Altons and wrist tees and stuff like that. It's got, I believe, an 87% chance to pen like a ULAC, an exfil, a fast MT, all that stuff on the very first shot, and you're shooting at 950 rounds per minute. You can use Battle Buddy to find those percentages. And then even against ammo, you think 40 pen sounds pretty low, but against the slick, it's going to take about 7 shots before you are at a plus 90% chance to pen that slick. And for something like a Killa Armor, which is one of the best in slot level 5s, you're at 5 to 6 shots to get you to over 90%. So you've got 30 rounds in your mag. If you get the drop on somebody, 950 rounds per minute, especially close range, it's pretty controllable. All you got to do is put 6, 7, 8 rounds into somebody and you've got them. But I would always recommend aiming for the face, because if they've got a fast MT, like we said, or an exfil with a face shield or a ULAC or any of that, you're going to be dropping them in like 2 shots max. With this FMJ at 300 rubles a round. Magazines, 6,000 rubles. The gun, 50,000 rubles. All that together, you have something that is very, very effective at killing just about any enemy. Very effective at like the 95% of enemies you're going to fight. Of course, you're going to come across some people with Altons or wrist tees or the best of the best stuff every once in a while. But most of the time, this is going to be very, very competent. And then throw whatever red dot or anything that you like on it. A lot of people even use the iron sights. You can replace it with like the M-Bus iron sights, and you're pretty much good to go. The other really cool thing, just as a final note, is that the ammo stacks in 70, which is really, really nice. Most ammo stacks in 40 or 50. So this actually gives you the ability to use maybe one less mag in your rig and keep a full stack of 70 in your secure container. And that way you've kind of got a little bit more flexibility. You're not having to buy that ammo quite as often. So that is the MP7. In my opinion, the answer to the question is yes. It is still one of the best budget guns for mid to late wipe and escape from Tarkov. Now, budget is always, of course, very subjective. It depends on what level you are, how much money you have, what level traders you have, how long you've been playing the game, what kind of guns you're the most comfortable with, or even what you have in your stash. The cheapest gun is always going to be the gun you have. So if you've got a few guns in your stash that you already have basically built out, and all you got to do is buy mags and ammo, then that might be more budget than buying an MP7. Once again, there are guns like an SKS or other guns where the gun is cheaper, the mags are cheaper, and the ammo is cheaper, but the ammo might not be as good as FMJ. So there's a lot that goes into budget, but I think that for 40,000 rubles for the gun, for a 100 out of 100 gun, not a broken scav gun, 40,000 rubles for the gun, cheap mags, relatively cheap ammo that performs at 40 plus pen with 43 damage. I think this package is a very effective budget gun for the mid to late wipe and escape from Tarkov. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you like the MP7, if you're going to try the MP7, or if there's another gun that you love to run as a good budget gun mid to late wipe in escape from Tarkov. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. If you liked the video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. All my links will be down below. I'd love to have you stop by and say hey. And if you're looking for people to play Tarkov with, our Discord server is an awesome place to be. That link is down below as well. Thank you again for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.